Hey, good evening, replay viewers. My name is Kirby Ingles. I'm a leadership and transformation coach, a father of four, and a U.S. Army veteran. And tonight's broadcast is about a short story of a man who I really just bumped his head and found his humility. And as you begin to come in the chat, again, please let me know where you're watching from. And if you're watching the replay, use hashtag replay. And as folks begin to come in here, I'll greet them. And I just want to get kind of started. I just wanted to talk about something real quick that I have out there. The last 3 or 4 days, I've been asking your guys' permission to see if, you really wanted me to put together this blueprint. And I have actually put together this, what I call the Smart Success Blueprint. And in the chat, I dropped a link and all the information's there. And I'm only going to offer this blueprint for the next 10 days. So without further ado, we'll talk about it again at the end. But I wanted to kind of get going here. Hey, Steve Johnson. Steve says he's from Red Bay, Alabama. And James, man, what's going on, my brother? Thanks for joining the chat. And now that we're a minute into it, let's get started because we got people piling in here and they want to hear this story about this man who bumped his head and found some humility. Brian, James, David, Jimmy, thanks for joining the chat. So there was this community leader that had asked a young man over for supper one night. And he wanted to, when he came over, he wanted to show him his library. And as he was escorted through, a restricted passage, which I mean is basically a narrow passage that led into the library, the leader barked at the young man behind him and said, "Stoop, stoop." And so the man didn't really quite process, what this leader was saying at first until it was nearly too late. And he slammed his head into the low archway. He just merely didn't duck. And so the older gentleman turned in this moment and turned it into a teaching moment for this young man that he had invited over to his house for dinner that evening. And he told him, he said, "Let this be a lesson to you that you shouldn't always carry your head so high all the time as you go through this world and this life. Because if you don't carry your head so high, you'll miss some of those hard bumps along the way." Obviously, the man slammed his head into the beam or the archway. And so many years had gone by, and this young man was retelling the story of what happened to him at this community leader's home that evening, when he went to the library and slammed his head into the archway, the low archway. And basically, he said the advice that the leader had given him was beaten into his head, literally. And he was quite often, and the advice that the guy gave him after he hit his head had been quite useful over the years. He had also noticed over the years that those who do carry their heads too high, right, end up having some type of misfortune in their lives. Sarah, thanks for joining. Tim, Harry, Mark, Ryan, and David, thanks for joining the chat. Yeah, you're right, Sarah. Ouch. Slammed his head into the archway. And so one of the defining moments of my personal life, which I can relate to this story is seeing the comments of a 360-degree review that I had done in a particular organization that I work for. And I was extremely prideful of the work that I had done there and the progress that we had made in the organization. But at first, some of the comments that I received were shocking, but painful, right? But now I'm just so grateful that they were honest and transparent about how they felt. And I had no idea that many people had felt that way. And at the time, if they would have told me about it, I would have been very defensive. But in the aftermath and reflecting back and seeing these comments in the aftermath after I'd left the organization, really, really humbled me, man. It was a very rewarding experience that helped me kind of move forward into the place that I am today and made me rethink what leadership really was. I was tended to be that autocratic leadership style guy when I first started out, and I completely transformed my leadership. And then, honestly, I took a few bumps on the head going forward. I took a licking on the noggin a little bit, and what I realized though, the knots on your noggin, when you do get bumped on the head, they will fade away, but you always remember how hard it felt. right? You know how bad it hurt. Now, I haven't completely conquered my pride, right? Pride is always going to rear its ugly head, and it will always win when we least expect it, right? The consequences come from our pride, because our pride, it's like having tunnel vision. It will blind you. And as soon as you emerge out of the tunnel, you tend to get T-boned. And then you know it, right? Then you know that you've been prideful and you've been blind. And every day we have to fight these battles. And sometimes we win and sometimes we lose. And pride has always been one of those that I do have to fight, because I take a lot of pride in what I do. But pride can actually deconstruct the world that you live in, and you may be blind to its effects. And that can lead to failure when you're running blind like that. And so through humility, the opposite of pride really happens. And humility actually brings honor to everything that we do, and it leads to success. Now, you won't find yourself, right, in a position of trust and leadership that, you're not, one of those positions. If you're seeking one of those positions, you're not going to find yourself in that position until you really begin to adopt a servant leader mentality. And so maybe you're one of those people right now in your life where you're getting ready, or you're trying to decide whether or not you're going to attempt to accomplish what I call one of those big, hairy, audacious, purpose-driven dreams that you have. And remember, if you're going to do this, and if you're going to go after it, and you get some wins under your belt, make sure that you check your attitude and remain humble. Make sure you stoop down a little bit, okay? So you don't take those hard knocks on the head. Realize what's going on and be present and aware in the moment. And don't be too prideful that you're blinded. There are really two approaches to learning humility that I've figured out over the years. And you can either lower yourself before others, or you can let life humble you. Now, you can choose the volunteer method, so you don't smash your head in the doorway and embarrass yourself. Or you can choose the latter, which is going to be pretty hurtful and pretty painful. So, hey guys, I really do appreciate it. Rick, Aaron, Justin, Ed, Steve. Sarah says, I had a supervisor who was a drill sergeant, and he had just returned to the real military. He was so hard on me, but I had also learned a lot of lessons too. Yeah, and those people can teach us a lot of lessons too, just by observing from the distance. Merritt, Michael, Pam, thanks for joining. And James McNeil, yep, BHG, man, that's big, hairy, audacious goals, but now I'm going to call them big, hairy, audacious, purpose-driven dreams. Because we all have those, right? And we all stop chasing for a reason. And thank you, James, for saying that, because that's what made me want to create the Smart Success Blueprint that I'm actually offering now. Today was the first day it opened up. I dropped the link in the comments. And if you're interested in that, you can go follow the link. You can check out the details. It's only going to be available for the next 10 days. I'm only going to probably do this 3 times a year. So right now is the opportunity to get in and get it, and personally work with me on some things. Like I said, all the details are going to be in there. I'll let you go check that out for yourself. If you have any questions or concerns or comments or anything like that, please get with me. Shoot me a message on Messenger. And if you're interested in this, man, and you want me to reach out to you, all you got to do is hit hashtag Smart Success in the comments below. And I'll be glad to reach out and talk to you. Hop on the phone, whatever it is that you feel comfortable with. I'm here to support you. And again, my name's Kirby Ingalls. I'm a leadership and transformation coach, your father of 4 and a U.S. Army veteran. And don't forget to keep your head down a little bit and continue striving for that success that you seek in life. Keep fighting the good fight, folks. We'll talk to you tomorrow.